So students, today we will start our new chapter named Wave Optics. Uh, like you see, what we say about light, about nature of light, we have already talked about it in our previous classes. That nature of light. Okay, we have talked about nature of light, which we said, which we said in our last classes that light is of dual nature. Right, light is of dual nature. What is dual nature of light, students? Wave nature and particle nature, right? These
Yes,
are
sir.
the yeah. So these are the two natures of light, two natures shown by light. Because there are why we say that light is of both nature, wave nature and particle nature both. Why do we say that? We say that because like there are many phenomena of light which can be explained by using wave nature. Okay, and there are many phenomena which could be explained by using which nature, students? Particle nature. Like photoelectric effect is a very good example of particle nature of light, right? Photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect says many things about particle nature of light, that photons fall on middle plate. We all know that, right? In wave nature, there are many phenomena which we will study in this chapter. That is diffraction, okay, polarization. So there are many phenomena which are explained by using wave nature of light, and there are many phenomena which could be explained by using particle nature of light. That is why we say that light is of dual nature. Okay, light is of dual nature, right? So there is one new concept here which we call wavefront, students. What is wavefront? Okay, since we will be talking about wavefronts right now, what are wavefronts? What we say about wavefronts, students, is that wavefronts are those surfaces. What are wavefronts, students? Wavefronts are those surfaces. Wavefronts are those surfaces where phase of light is same. Okay, phase of light is same at all points. Okay, so like equipotential surfaces, students. Okay, wavefronts is a concept which is similar to equipotential surfaces, what we have studied in our previous classes. Like what you know about equipotential surfaces, students? What are equipotential surfaces? Equipotential surfaces are those surfaces at which potential is constant, right? At which what is constant, student? Potential is constant. Here about wavefronts, we will say that wavefronts are those surfaces where phase of wave is constant, right? Phase of wave is constant at all points of the wavefront. Okay, so this I am making a planar wavefront. I'll tell you about like wavefronts. Okay, so here I am drawing a planar wavefront. What we say about wavefronts? We say that wavefronts are those surfaces, right? Wavefronts are those surfaces. Wavefronts are those surfaces whose all points have the same phase. Like if we consider light as wave, what we say that at all points phase of wave is constant. Okay, so this is what we say about wavefronts. Okay, and we say about wavefronts one more thing we say about wavefront is that rays are perpendicular to the wavefront. Okay, the rays are perpendicular to wavefronts. Like you must say the direction of propagation is always perpendicular to wavefronts, which is same as equipotential surfaces, right? What did we study about equipotential surfaces? We said that electric field is always perpendicular to equipotential surface, right? So here also the direction of propagation of wave is perpendicular to the wavefronts. Okay, there are few properties of wavefronts, and this is one thing. Okay, one more property of wavefront is that we say that time taken by wave to travel from one wavefront to another wavefront is always same, right? What we say about wavefronts is that time taken by a wave to travel from one wavefront to other wavefront is same. Like say this is a point source of wave, of light wave maybe you must say. Like say this is we are having a bulb, okay, like a point source. We are having a point source. So what can we say that this point source will emit light in all directions, will emit wave in all directions, right? We can say that students, this source can this source can emit wave in all directions, right? These are the directions in which this source is emitting wave, right? Wave, or you say, yeah, light. Because light is a wave. We are talking about light wave, right? That is why the name of this chapter is wave optics. We are talking about light waves here, students. Okay. So these green lines I have made for showing you that this point source is emitting waves in all directions. Okay. So what we said about wavefronts are those surfaces at which phase is same. Phase at all points is same. So like you see, students, in your 11th grade, you must have studied about wave, right? You must have studied about wave. Like say that let us say that there is some wave whose y is equal to, we represent y1 is equal to a1 sine omega t plus phi, right? This is an equation of simple harmonic motion. Okay, this is not the equation of a wave. This is the equation of simple harmonic motion. Okay, and what is the equation of wave, students? Y is equal to a sine omega t plus kx plus phi 1. Okay, this is one wave, y1 is equal to, okay, and this is some another wave, y2 is equal to a2. Let us say this as a1. This is a2 sine omega t plus kx plus phi 2. Okay, so these are two waves. Let us like differentiate their omegas also, omega 1 k1 omega 2 k2. Okay, so students, you must have studied about these waves in your 11th grade, right? So these two y1 and y2, what I have written here, this y1 is the equation of a SHM. Okay, this is a simple harmonic motion. This equation is of a simple harmonic. This is an equation of simple harmonic motion. Okay, this is an equation of simple harmonic motion, and these two are waves. We know about waves, students, right? Do we know about waves? Students, please answer me. Do we know about waves?
Yes, sir.
We don't. You know that, right? Okay, fine. So y is a1 sine omega t plus phi. Okay, this is an equation of simple harmonic motion. This is y1 is equal to a1 sine omega 1 t plus k1x plus phi 1. These two are the equation of waves. Okay. So students, we all know that in waves, that what is this? This thing inside the sine. What is this? This thing we call phase, right? This thing what we call, students, phase. Okay, this is a phase. Okay, and this is y2 is equal to a2 sin omega t. What is this? This is also phase. This is the phase of wave 1, wave 2, and this is the phase of wave 1. Okay, so if we talk about phase difference of these two waves, what will we write? Like if we are talking about phase difference of these two waves, what will we write, students? What will be the phase difference? This minus this, or this minus this, right? This will be the phase difference. So I'm moving to the next page for, yeah. Let us move to next page, students, with these equations. Yeah. So you see, students, these three are the equation of waves. Sorry, these two are equation of waves. This is an equation of simple harmonic motion. Okay. So when we are talking about phase difference of these two waves, what will we say the phase difference, students? Tell me, delta phi. Delta phi is a representation used for phase difference. Okay. phase difference or delta phi I should write here. Phase difference or delta phi is equal to, what will be the phase difference, students? Omega to this minus this, right? So what we'll write? We'll write omega 2 minus omega 1 into t, okay, plus k2 minus k1 into x plus phi 2 minus phi 1. Okay, this is the phase difference between two waves. Okay, so you see, students, like if we are talking about, if this is the phase difference, okay, if this is the phase difference, so like phase difference is dependent on what quantity, student? Tell me. Time. Okay, at any point, if we are talking about phase difference will depend upon time. On x means x is what, students? What is x? X is the like distance of source from the position where we have to calculate the like the phase, right? This is x. You see, if this is a source S, and this source S is emitting some wave, okay, which we say y1 is equal to a1 sine omega 1t plus k1x plus phi 1. Okay, so at this point, students, what will be the phase? If this distance is x1 and we want the phase of this wave at any time t, what will be the what will this point get, students? What will this point get at any time t? What will this point get? What will this point get? This point will get a simple harmonic motion. This point will receive a simple harmonic motion. So like you see, for every wave, whatever this source is emitting some wave, okay. And what is wave, students? Wave is a sort of disturbance, okay. And that disturbance is traveling through air or any medium, whatever is there. And that wave is traveling through any like medium, and to every point the wave is imparting some energy. Okay, like wave is what? Wave is a form of energy, right? A disturbance and a form of energy which moves from one place to other. Like what is energy? Like students, see, I am saying something. Okay, I am saying something. This I am utilizing my energy in speaking. Okay, and these words are reaching you. My words are reaching you. What is this? I am saying something. This is energy. The thing which I am saying, this is energy, and that energy is reaching you. Okay. So what are we saying here? That this is some source S, and this source S is emitting a wave whose equation is like this. Okay. And this wave is giving every point a disturbance. So I am considering a point here which is at some distance x1 from the source. Okay. So I want, what will this point get? So putting the value x1 and all, what will we find here? So at any time t, what will this point get? What will this position get? So we say that this position will get a1 sine omega 1 t plus k1 x1 plus phi 1. Okay, this point will get this disturbance. And what is this disturbance, students? This k1 x1 plus phi 1 is some, let us assume that this as some angle phi. Okay, so what will we say now? That this point is getting a1 sine omega 1 t plus phi. Oh, this is the equation of a simple harmonic motion. So this wave is giving every point a simple harmonic motion, a SHM. Okay, this wave is giving every point some energy, and that point, due to the energy, it is like moving to and fro, and whatever be the motion of that point. Just that we are saying that this point is receiving an SHM from this wave source. Okay. So if here, what is this? What is this omega 1 t plus phi? This is the phase of this point. Right, at any time t, this is omega 1 t plus phi is the phase of this point. Okay. So like if we are saying that this point is getting some SHM, then what will be the phase? The phase will be omega 1 t plus phi. Okay, at any time t, the phase will be omega 1 t plus phi. Okay, and since we are talking about these two waves, what will be the phase difference between these two waves? Phase difference is this minus this, right? Omega 2t, omega 2 minus omega 1t, k2 minus k1x plus phi 2 minus phi 1. This is the phase difference. Okay. So if we are fixing something like this, if we are fixing something like this x, so what will be the phase difference? Phase difference will be omega 2 minus omega 1 into t plus phi 2 minus phi 1, right? This will be the phase difference between these two f's if we are asking the phase difference at the same position x, right? This will be the phase difference. Okay. So this is these are waves. Okay. This is SHM. Okay. Yeah. So let us come back to our point, what we were talking about, which are wave fronts, right, students? Which are wave fronts. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about this thing. Okay. I feel that you must have understood about this waves and phase difference, right? Have you got my point, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we are talking about this. This is a point source. Okay, and this source is emitting wave in all directions. Let us say that for this point, let us say that this point is emitting wave in all directions. Okay. Yeah, wave in all directions. Like if we will be making a surface, then it will be spherical. Okay. Spherically, this point is this source is emitting wave spherically in all directions. Okay. Now, let us say that the equation for this source is something y is equal to a1 sine omega 1 omega t plus kx plus phi. Let us say, right, that this source is emitting the wave a1 sine omega t plus kx plus phi. Okay. So you see here, students, that this wave is emitting some wave, okay, in all directions. What we said about wave fronts? What did we say about wavefronts? That wavefronts are those points, sorry, wavefronts are those surfaces whose all points will be having the same phase, right? So, for if we are having a point source, what will be the shape of the wavefront? Will it be spherical, students? This is one wavefront. This is some other wavefront. Okay. Are you getting my point, students?
Yes, sir.
So, what will be the shape of these wavefronts, students? What will be the shape of these wavefronts? Spherical, right? The shape of these wavefronts will be spherical. So, what we say that there are few sources about which we will have to talk about the shape of wavefronts. Okay, we'll talk about it. First of all, let us know something. Let us learn something about wavefronts. What we say about it here, students, that wavefronts are those surfaces. Wavefronts are those surfaces whose all points will have the same phase. Okay, whose all points will have the same phase. Okay, so like if we are talking about this point, 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 all the points on the wavefronts in which direction, in the direction of the propagation of wave. What we say, students, that these things should be equal, all these distances should be equal, right? Then only if these distances will be different, all the points will not have the same phase difference, right? All the points will not have the same phase, sorry, all the points will not be having the same phase, because if x will differ, the phase will also differ, right? Which is not the condition of wavefront. So for here, what we say that if this is the source, okay, if we are having a point source, the shape of wavefronts will be spherical. Okay, the shape of wavefronts will be spherical for point source. Okay, now if we are talking about line source, students, if we are talking about line source, what will be the shape of wavefront? Can you tell me? What could be the shape of wavefront, students?
Cylindrical, sir.
Yeah, cylindrical. That I'll tell you how it comes to be cylindrical. Like, see, student, this is a line source. Okay, this green line is a line source. Okay, and if this is a line source, what could be the direction of its wave emission? This and this, right? Actually, it will be in all the directions, but we can make on a paper only these directions we can make on a paper. That is why I am doing this, right? So this will be the direction of propagation of waves, students. Are you getting my point? Like you see, if this is a line source, then it will be emitting wave in all directions. So what kind of surface will you will make here, which will be having, which will be equidistant from all these points, all the points on the source. That surface will be cylindrical, right? That is why
Yes.
that is what we talked about it. That is what we talked about, right? For wave fronts. So this will be the direction of wave, and this will be cylindrical. We will be having a cylindrical wave front. So for line source, students, for line source, what we say, that line source will be having cylindrical wavefront. Shape of the wavefronts will be cylindrical. Okay. The shape of wavefronts for line source will be cylindrical. Okay. And one more condition which we have to study is about if the source is at infinity. If the source is at infinity, students, what will be the how? What will be the shape of the wave? What will be the direction of the propagation of wave? It will be parallel, right? If the source is at infinity, the waves will be propagating parallelly, right? This will be the direction of propagation of wave. So what will be the shape of wavefronts here? Planar, right? Which we have already talked about, right, students? So if the source is at infinity, the wavefront is planar wavefront. Okay. Are you all getting my point, students? Wavefronts are planar. If the source is at infinity, we will get a parallel ray, we'll get parallel waves. Okay. So the wavefront here will be planar. Okay. So we'll write planar wavefront. Planar wavefronts for planar wavefronts for if source is at infinity. Okay. If source is at infinity, we'll get parallel rays, and for that we'll get planar wavefront. Okay, you got my point, students? Or is there any problem? You got my point about wavefronts?
Understood, sir.
Got
Okay,
it, sir.
okay. So now we are having some properties of wavefronts. Okay, there we are having some properties of wavefronts which we will be talking about right now. So first of all, the first property for wavefronts is that we say that the direction of propagation of wave is always perpendicular to the wavefront. We have I have already everything is written here, students. Okay, here you will get notes. I am just trying to make you understand. Okay. So what we say that the direction of propagation of wave is always perpendicular to wavefronts. Okay, these are wavefronts, and the direction of propagation of wave is always perpendicular to wavefronts. This is one point. Okay, and the other point we say, what we say, that the time taken by the wave to travel from one wavefront to other wavefront is always same. Like from one wavefront to other wavefront is always same. Like the time taken, if from this point, like say this point is A, okay, this point is some B, and this is C, this is D, okay, this is E, this is F, okay, this is G, this is L. Let us say, okay. So what we say about this is that the time taken by the wave to travel from A to B, from C to D, from E to F, from G to H must be equal. Okay, this is the rule. So we will write that time taken by wave from to travel from A to B is equal to T, CD is equal to T, EF is equal to TGH. Okay, along all the rays. Okay, the time taken by the wave to travel from one wavefront to other wavefront is same for all the waves, all the direction of propagation. Okay, all the way. One more thing, what you say that all points on the wavefront, these are 2 points. The third point is what it says that every point on the wavefront acts as a source. All the points on the wavefront acts as a source, okay, which we call secondary wavelets. What we say that all points on the wavefronts act as a source, which we call secondary wavelets. Secondary wavelets, and the property and its property is that it says that we call it secondary wavelets, and its property is that it propagates more energy, it transmits more energy in the forward direction. Okay, for secondary wavelets, what we say that it propagates more energy, it transmits more energy in the forward direction. Okay, transmits. It transmits more energy in the forward direction. Okay, every point, like you say this is the source. Okay, this is the source and it is propagating energy in the forward. This is what this line we have made. This is the direction of propagation of wave. And what is wave? Wave is some energy, right? Wave is energy. So this is the direction of propagation of energy. So what it says that every point on the wavefront, like this point, this point, this point, every point on the wavefront, students, all these points act as secondary wavelets. All these points act as source. Okay. All the points on the wavefronts act as source. Okay. And what is source doing? Source is also transmitting energy. So this will also, this every point on the wave will also transmit energy in the forward direction, right? And it will transmit most of the energy in the forward direction. Why? Because if it will start transmitting energy in the backward direction and forward direction both, like there will be no propagation of wave. Like see, this source is transmitting energy here. Okay, transmitting energy in this direction. So this point will also transmit energy in this direction. If this point will also start emitting energy in this direction, these two energy will what? The direction is opposite, right? It will get cancelled out. There will be no energy here now. So the wave will not propagate in the forward direction. That is why we say that secondary wavelets transmit most of its energy in the forward direction, which helps the wave to propagate in the forward direction, right? So these are the things which we talk about here. So these are the properties of wavefronts, and we talked everything about wavefronts, right? Yeah. Now let's move here, students. Like we were talking about phase difference and all, right? Now you see, students. You see, students, like I am saying that I am having two waves here. One is this S1. Okay, this is source of wave S1. Okay, and this is some source of wave S2. And these two sources are emitting waves in the forward direction, in all directions actually. And I am here at this point P. I am here at this point P. Okay, and say that these two are source of light. Let us say that these two are light sources. Okay, so these sources are emitting light continuously. Okay, these two sources are emitting light continuously. Let us say that this source is emitting a light of intensity I1. Okay, and this source is emitting light of intensity I2. Okay, let us say that this source is emitting light of intensity I1, this source is emitting light of intensity I2. Okay. And the equation for this S1 will be Y1 is equal to A1 sine omega t plus kx plus phi. Sorry. Y1 is equal to A1 sin omega t plus K1x plus phi. Okay. And this source is emitting a wave which is y2 is equal to a2 sine omega t plus k2x plus phi. Okay, so this source is emitting this wave, wave of equation this, and this source is emitting wave of equation this. Okay, so you see what this point is getting. This point is getting two SHMs, two simple harmonic motions. Okay, this point is getting two simple harmonic motions. Now, if we talk about phase difference at this point P, let us say that this point is at a distance x1 from S1 and at a distance x2 from S2. Okay, at distance x1 from S1 and x2 from where, students? S2. Okay, and what I am doing here, I am taking k of these two waves to be same. Okay, and omega is also same. Okay, so if omega is same, what does that mean, students? If omega is same for two waves, what do we say? If omega, you do you remember your 11th grade, students? So what we say, I'll tell you what we say, that if omega for two waves is same, they are called coherent sources. They are called coherent sources. Okay, if two sources are having the same frequency, what we say, that the two waves are coherent. Okay, the two sources are coherent. They are emitting wave of same frequency. Okay, so they are called coherent sources. And if omega is not same, if omega is not equal, which means frequency is not equal, and these sources are known as incoherent sources. Okay, these sources are known as what, students? Incoherent sources. Okay, if omega is not same, not equal, we say that these waves are what? These sources are what? Incoherent sources. Okay, and if the frequency of the, like, this source is emitting wave frequency of omega, and this S2 is also emitting wave of frequency omega, so we say that these 2 points will get what? Two simple harmonic motions. If the, what we say, that the phase difference, if we are talking about phase difference here, students, if here we are talking about phase difference, what we say about phase, difference, what we say, that what will be the phase difference delta phi between these two waves at this point P? Can you tell me? It will be omega t plus kx2 plus phi 2 minus omega t minus kx1 minus phi 1. This will be the phase difference between these two waves at this point, students. I am talking about this point only. Okay. So the phase difference delta phi will be how much? It will be omega t. Omega t will get cancelled out. What will it say? It will say k into x2 minus x1 plus phi 2 minus phi 1. This will be the phase difference between these two waves at this point P. Okay. This will be the phase difference between these 2 points at between these two waves at point P. Okay. This is the phase. So what we say here, students, that this point is getting two SHMs, one from source S1 and one from source S2, right? We are getting at this point P one simple harmonic motion from source S1, one simple harmonic motion from source S2. So what will be the resultant here? What will be the resultant motion of this point P? Okay, so what we say, that this is called superposition. Like, if at a place two waves are coming at the same time, they will interfere, right? Like if we are saying that there is a point where wave is coming from two sides, from this side also and from this side also. So if these two waves are coherent, like Coherent means of same frequency. Okay, if these two waves will be having the same frequency, or if these two waves are coherent, it will show interference here. Okay, these two waves will superimpose and make some other third wave, right? It will make some third wave. So like you see that we are saying that this is a1 sine omega t plus kx, this is a2 sine omega 2 plus k2x. So the interference here will be, what will be the resultant displacement of this point, students? Y1 plus y2, right? If we will be talking about the resultant displacement at this point y net, what will be the value of y net, students? Y net will be y1 plus y2 at that point. So we can put these values. Which values, students? The value of y1 at this point and the value of y2 at this point. Okay. If we'll put these values, what will we get? Tell me. Tell me what will we get, students? We'll get y net is equal to, what is the value of y1? A1 sine omega t plus kx1 plus phi1, right? Plus a2 sine omega t plus kx2 plus phi2, right? This will be the net displacement of this point P, right? This point is getting energy from this source S1, okay, getting displacement from this source S1, getting displacement from this source S2, right? So this point, what will be the resultant displacement? So y net will be this, okay. And there is a rule for solving these type of things. There is a rule in solving these type of things. What we say, that assume a1 and a2 as vectors, students. Okay, assume a1 and a2 as vectors, and draw any one of them like this. Okay, and this will be a1 and this will be a2. This is the rule, students, I am telling you. Okay, the thing here which I am telling you is the rule for the resultant displacement. We assume a1 and a2 as vectors. Okay, and what we do here is we find the resultant. Okay, what is the angle between a1 and a2, students? What will be the angle between a1 and a2? So what we say, that the angle between a1 and a2, this angle is the phase difference delta phi. This is the phase difference between a1 and a2. Okay, and the value of delta phi we have already written here. This will be the value of delta phi. And if this is the resultant, you see here, students, if this is the resultant, okay, if this is the resultant, if this is a net, if this is a net, then a net will be how much? What will be a net, students? A1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos phi, right? Cos delta phi, sorry. If this is the a net, what will we say? That y net is a1 sine omega t plus k. We assumed a1 and a2 as vectors, and we wrote it like this. Right. You must have done this in superposition of simple harmonic motion, students. Okay, you must be like sort of remembering these things. Okay, so this is a1, this is a2, this is delta phi. We have already written the value of delta phi here. What is this? K into x2 minus x1 plus phi2 minus phi1. Okay, this is the resultant value of, this is the phase difference delta phi, and this is a net. So what will be y net, students? What will be the value of y net now? The value of y net will be a net sine this angle, phase of this. Like if this is resultant and I'm saying that this is a1, okay, I have also represented a1 as vector with this phase, okay, with this phase. If the phase of this a1 is omega t, sorry, not omega 1. If the phase of this is omega t plus kx1 plus phi 1, and if this angle is alpha, what will be the phase of a net, students? It will be a net sine omega t plus kx1 plus phi 1 plus alpha, right? If we will be talking about the phase of a2, what will it be, students? The phase of a1 plus delta phi, which will be equal to this omega t plus kx2 plus phi 2, right? This will be the phase. So this is how we, like, if two waves are interfering at a point, this is how we calculate the resultant wave. Okay, this is how we calculate it. Now I'll make it a more simple, students, because many times what happens is these x1 x2 also gets cancelled out. Okay, so the phase difference between the phase difference comes more easier. Okay, it becomes more easier to calculate. Okay, so now you will see. Now I'll tell you how you see here, students. This is the superposition of waves. Okay, superposition of two sinusoidal waves. Now we are talking about, in simple terms, we will be talking about it now. Like you see, if I am talking here about two waves with displacement, I'll write it here that y1 is equal to a1 sine omega t. Okay, very simple. I have removed all k and x, everything. This is y1, and now I will say y2 is equal to a2 sine omega t plus phi. How will you solve it, students? How will you solve it? What will be the resultant? You must have studied vectors, right? You must have studied about vectors in your previous classes, in your 11th grade. This I am taking a1, okay, and this I am taking a2. Okay, students, getting my point, all of you? A1 and a2. Okay, this is a1 and this is a2, and I have made this just for your understanding. Okay. This is A1, this is A2. I have completed the parallelogram. What will be the A net? What will be the A net, students? What will be the resultant A? This, right? This will be A net, and this angle will be how much? The phase difference between these two. A2 is sine omega t plus phi. If I have made this A1, the phase of this will be omega t. Okay, so this will be omega t, and so this angle will be how much? Because A2 is ahead of this by phi, so this angle will be how much? This angle will be phi, right? So this is A net, and if this angle is alpha, if this angle is alpha, what will be the value of alpha, students? Can you tell me? Can you tell me the value of tan alpha? You have studied in vectors. You must have studied in vectors. The value of tan alpha is, like I am extending these, this will be A2. Okay, if this angle is phi, this angle will also be phi. So if this is A2, this will be A2 cos phi, this will be A2 sin phi. Okay, so by using Pythagoras theorem, not Pythagoras theorem, by using this tan alpha, what will we write? Tan alpha is equal to how much, students? What will be the value of tan alpha? Tell me. Tan alpha will be A2 sin phi upon A1 plus A2 cos phi. Right, tan
Yes,
alpha
sir.
is perpendicular upon base. It will be A2 sine phi divided by A1 plus A2 cos phi. We have already studied about these things in vectors, right? So the value of tan alpha will be this. Okay, this is A2, this is A1 resultant. And if we have to calculate the value of A net, what will it be, students? This square plus this square, by using Pythagoras theorem, what will we say? A net square is equal to A1 plus A2 cos phi square plus A2 sin phi square, right? So I'll write it here that A net A net square is equal to A1 plus A2 cos phi square, right? Plus A1 plus A2 cos phi square plus A2 sin phi square. Right, students? Are you all getting my point or not? A2 sin
Yes,
phi
sir.
square. Yeah.
Yeah, getting
So
it.
A net square will be how much? Just tell me. It will be A1 square plus A2 square cos square phi plus 2A1 A2 cos phi plus A2 square sin square phi. Okay. Now adding these two, what will get? A2 cos square phi plus A2 square cos square phi plus A2 square sin square phi. We'll get A2 square common, and we'll add cos square phi plus sin square phi, which we know will be equal to 1. So now what will be the value of A net square, student? Tell me. A net square will be A1 square. These two will add up to make A2 square, right? Because cos square phi plus sin square phi is equal to 1, and a2 square we have already taken it common. So it will be a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos phi, right? So this is a net square is equal to a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos phi. So if we have to calculate the value of a net amplitude, what will it be? It will be equal to root under a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos phi. Right? Getting my point, students? All of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
Got it.
So this will be the
Yes,
value of
sir.
a net. This will be the resultant amplitude. Right. So, since we are talking about the like superposition, since we are talking about superposition, what is this? This is net amplitude, right? This is what, student? This is the net amplitude. Okay. Now we'll be talking about few more things, students. Yeah, we are left with enough of our time. So this is the superposition of two waves, students. Okay, if two simple harmonic motions or two waves are interfering at a point, if they are reaching at the same point, what will happen? Like you see, if there is some interference due to some waves, we get constructive or destructive interference. Okay, what we do, we get constructive, and what we get is constructive and destructive interference. Constructive interference means maximum intensity, and destructive interference means minimum intensity. Okay, we get maximum and minimum intensity. I'll talk about it. Okay, I'll talk about it. So see here, students, we are talking about superposition of two waves. See here, we have written all these things here. So we are talking about superposition of two waves. Okay, now I'll tell you what is the superposition of two waves. Oh, we don't have space here actually. Okay, we'll talk about it on the next page. Again, we are talking about the same thing, students, what we have talked about in the in our previous slides, that we are talking about the same thing. Like what we are doing, we are saying that y1 is equal to a1 sine omega t plus kx. Okay, let us say that this is omega t plus kx. This is the phase of this wave. Okay, this some source is emitting the wave, and this y1 is the displacement of the particle. Okay, and y2 we are getting, y2 is a2 sine omega 2, omega means a2 sine omega t plus kx plus phi. Okay, we are giving two waves. Okay, we are having two sources actually, which are emitting these two waves of this equation, whose omega means frequency is constant. Two sources which are emitting waves whose omega is constant. K is what? Wave number. It is also constant. We know about wave number, right, students? K is equal to 2 pi by lambda. We know about this K. We have must have studied about this k in our like previous classes in our 11th grade. This k is wave number which equals to 2 pi upon lambda. We have to remember this. Okay, so y1 is equal to this and y2 is equal to this. So for these two waves, if we have to like superimpose these two waves, what will we do? We'll say that this is some source s1, this is some source s2, students, right? This is s1, this is s2, and these two sources are emitting waves. We are talking about the resultant displacement of the particle at this point P. Okay, we are talking about resultant displacement at this point P. S1 is Y1. Okay, Y1 is for S1 and Y2 is for S2. Okay, these are the equation of waves. The waves emitted by these two sources, and these two sources are emitting waves. It is reaching at point P. Okay, so now here we can see the interference. Like you see, if these two are light waves, these two waves are emitting light, we will like see intensity here. Okay, different type of intensity, which could be different from some places like this, from this point. Intensity at these 2 points will be different. Why? Because phase difference, like path difference at these 2 points will be different. How? How can I say that? How can I say that intensity at this point P and Q will be different? Right, you must be wondering how can I say that, because these are at different distances from these 2 points. That could be possible, right? Like I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. Like say this is some x1, S1P is x1, S2Q is x2, right? And S1Q is what should we say it, x3, and let us say that S2Q is x4. Let us say, okay, let us say. So uh, if we are talking about intensity, students, you must have heard about intensity and you must be knowing it, that we know that intensity of any wave is perpendicular to the amplitude square, right? The intensity of any wave is proportional to the amplitude square. So if I'll equate it, intensity must be equal to k into amplitude ka square, right? Intensity will be equal to k into amplitude square. So you see this wave is y1, this source is emitting a wave, this source is emitting a wave of amplitude a1, this is emitting of a source, this source is emitting wave of amplitude a2. Okay, so let us say that the intensity from this source and this source is I1 and I2, let us say. Okay, I am assuming that intensity of source S1 is I1 and intensity of source S2 is I2. Okay, I am saying that resultant intensity at P and resultant intensity at Q is different. Okay, that is what I am trying to prove here. That intensity I1 will be I1 is the intensity emitted by source S1 and I2 is the intensity emitted by source S2. Okay, and these two intensities are reaching at this point, and we know that intensity is proportional to amplitude square. So what will be the resultant amplitude of these two waves at point Q and at point P? Can we calculate that, students? Can we calculate that? Yes, we can. We can calculate that because at point P, the wave coming from source S1 will be, what will be the two waves interfering at point P? Can you tell me? Y1 is equal to A1 sine omega t plus kx1. Yeah, omega t plus kx1, and y2 will be a2 sine omega t plus kx2 plus 5. Right? Are you all getting my point, students? Are you all getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it is equal to omega 2 kx2 plus 5. Okay. So these two waves are interfering at this point. Okay. And at this point, if we have to calculate the net y net at this point, what will we say? Y net is equal to y1 plus y2. And how we do this, students? Y1 plus y2. We say that A1 and A2 are what? Vectors, and we solve that. We all know that, right? So this is y net. So if I have to write y net, what will I write? Y net is equal to y1, sorry. Y net will be equal to A net. Y net is equal to A net sine phase of this omega t plus kx1 plus omega t plus kx1 plus some other angle alpha. Okay, alpha will be ahead of this. Okay, this will be the phase here, right? So this will be the y net. So you see, if I am saying that intensity of I1 will be proportional to a square. We know the value of a net, students. We know the value of a net. Like here we have already talked about it, the value of a net. Right. What will be the value of A net here, students? Can I write it? Can I write the value of A net here? Definitely I can do that. What will be the value of A net, students? We can write A net square is equal to A1 square plus A2 square plus 2A1 plus 2A1 A2 cos 5. A net square is equal to A1 square plus A2 square plus 2A1 A2 cos 5. Okay. A net square is equal to A1 square plus A2 square plus 2A1 A2 square. cos phi. Now, if I have to write few things about intensity, what can I write, students? That we have already talked about that intensity is equal to k into amplitude ka square. So I can write k I1 is equal to k into A1 ka square. And what can I write? I can write I2 is equal to k into A2 square, right? And what can we write about net intensity, students? I net will be equal to k into A net square, right? So I can replace the value of A1 square, A2 square, and A net square. What can I write here, students? See here, A net square will be I net upon k, plus A1 square will be I1 upon k, plus A2 square will be I2 upon k, and 2 into A1 will be how much, students? Root I1 upon root k, into A2 will be root I2 upon root k, into cos delta phi, not phi here. Write it delta phi. Okay, this is cos delta phi. Delta phi is the phase difference between the waves y, between the like displacements y1 and y2. Okay, this is the delta phi will be the phase difference. 2a1 a2 cos delta phi. Okay, cos delta. Yeah. So I net is I net upon k is equal to I1 by k, I2 by k plus 2 root I1 by k root I2 by k cos delta phi. So what can we do here, students? We can cancel out the k on all the sides. This root k will get will give us k, which will get cancelled out. Okay. So what can we write about intensity now, students? What can we write about intensity now? That I net is equal to I1 plus I2 plus 2 root I1 I2 cos phi. This is cos phi again. Sorry, not cos phi. It will be cos delta phi. Okay. 2 I1 I2 cos delta phi. This is the resultant intensity. So now, students, delta phi at point P and delta phi at point Q will be different. How? Because at point P, what will be the phase difference, students? This I must have written it somewhere. Delta phi, have I written it? No, no. Okay, let us see that phase difference at this point, at point P. Delta phi at point P and delta phi at point Q. So I can write delta phi at point P will be how much, students? Can you tell me delta phi at point P? The phase of S1 will be omega t plus k x1 plus phi. Sorry, omega t plus k x1, and here it will be omega t plus k x2 plus phi. So if we subtract these two, what will you get? Kx2 minus kx1 plus phi, right? Delta phi at P will be kx2 minus x1 plus phi at point P, and delta phi at point Q will be kx4 minus x3 plus phi. So you see, as students, intensity is dependent on delta phi, and delta phi at point P and point Q are different because x2, x1 will be different, x4 and x3 will also be different, right? These two are different, x3 is different, x2 is different, x1, x4, all these four are different. Okay, so this difference will differ here in delta phi for P and delta phi for Q. So intensity will also differ, net intensity will also differ, right? Are you all getting my point, students, or not? Are you all getting my point? That intensity could be different at two different points. If we are emitting, if some wave is getting emitted from S1 source, S1 and S2, will and if the sources are coherent, okay, keep this in mind that this could only be seen when the sources are different. Okay, this could only, the difference in intensity could only be seen when the waves are coherent, means frequency is same. Okay, if the phase different, if the frequency will be different, then we'll get, like, if we have to calculate the phase difference, what will we get? We'll get like here what we have got only k into x2 minus x. Okay, there we will get omega 2 minus omega 1 into t. If this omega will be different, we'll get If this will be omega 1, this will be omega 2. What will you get in the expression for phase difference? We'll also get some omega 2 minus omega 1 into t. So at these 2 points, the phase difference will depend upon time also. And if the phase difference is dependent on time, the intensity at different point will depend on time. Okay, at point P, at some time we are seeing some other intensity, at other time we are seeing other intensity. So intensity will be different at different times. But here, if the frequency is same, the phase difference is not dependent on time, students. Okay, the phase difference is not dependent on time, it is only dependent on the position. Okay, so at one position we'll see a fixed intensity. Okay, or we'll hear a fixed intensity. If we are talking about light wave, we'll see different intensity at different points. Okay, we can see that. But if the light is if the sources are incoherent, then we will not be able to find out what is happening, what is the variation of intensity, because the variation in intensity at point P and point Q will be very fast, very fast. Okay, it will be very fast, so we won't be able to recognize it. Our eyes won't be able to recognize it. Okay, so that is why we say that if these two waves interfere at this point, we have to see the intensity, that because that intensity will only be the thing which will tell us that what is happening, whether the waves are interfering constructively or destructively. Okay, and what is constructive and destructive interference, students? I'll take you 10-15 minutes more. Okay, so if we are talking about constructive interference, that what is constructive interference, students? What is constructive interference? If we are talking about constructive and destructive interference, we'll say that what is the value of intensity, students? Just tell me. Intensity I net intensity at any point will be equal to I1 plus I2 plus 2 root I1 I2 cos phi, right? 2 root I1 I2 cos delta phi. Okay, so what is constructive interference? What we say about constructive interference, students? Like you see here, if we are talking about constructive interference, if we are talking about what, students? If we are talking about constructive interference, intensity should be maximum. If we are talking about constructive interference, intensity should be maximum. So what will be the maximum intensity, students? Can you tell me what will be the maximum intensity here? What will be the here intensity? I1 is constant, I2 is constant, because these two are source dependent. I1 and I2 are also source. Cos delta phi. Okay, cos, we have got cos delta phi here. So for maximum intensity, what will we say? That the value of cos delta phi should be maximum, which is 1. Right, the value of cos delta phi is maximum, which is 1. If the value of cos delta phi is maximum, we'll say that intensity will be maximum, which will be equal to I1 plus I2 plus 2 root I1 I2. Right, 2 root I1 I2. Okay, so maximum intensity will be how much? We can say that maximum intensity will be equal to root I1 plus root I2 squared. Okay, this will be the value of maximum intensity if cos delta phi will be 1. And since if we will be talking about destructive interference, students, if we are talking about destructive interference here, what will we say? If we are talking about destructive interference here, students, what will we say? That for destructive interference, intensity should be minimum. And when will intensity be minimum? When cos phi will be how much? -1. When cos delta phi will be -1, what will we say? That intensity will be minimum. If the value of cos delta phi is -1, the resultant intensity will be minimum, which will be equal to how much, students? Root I1 root I2 whole square. Okay, how are we saying this? Because if cos delta phi will be -1, it will be equal to I1 plus I2 minus 2 I root I1 I2. So this is root I1 square root I2 square plus 2 root I1 I2. So I can write it as root I1 minus root I2 whole square, like this. Okay. If we'll be having a positive sign here, we'll get root I1 plus root I2. If we'll be having a negative sign here, we'll get root I1 minus root I2. So this is the condition for destructive interference. This is the condition for constructive interference. Like for constructive interference, we say that intensity should be maximum, and for destructive interference, we say that resultant intensity should be minimum. So this is the minimum intensity, and this is the maximum intensity. So on what thing is maximum and minimum intensity depending? It is depending on cos delta phi, and moreover it is depending on delta phi. What is delta phi? Delta phi is the phase difference between two waves, right? Delta phi is the phase difference between two waves, which is equal to, if I am saying now, I am saying that I am taking two waves, students. Say I am saying that y1 is a1 sine omega t plus kx, okay, and I am saying that y2 is also equal to a2 sine omega 2 plus kx. Now, okay, now I am saying that y1 is a1 sine omega t plus kx, y2 is also equal to a2 sine omega t plus kx. The amplitude is different, phase is same. Okay, we are taking these two waves now. Okay, so if we are saying that these two waves are like this, if this is source S1 and source S2, and these two sources are emitting waves, and I am talking about this point P. I am talking about this point P. If this is x1 and this is x2, what will be the phase difference at this point, students? What will be the value of delta phi? Can you tell me here? Delta phi will be omega t plus kx2 minus omega t minus kx1. So what will it be equal to, students? K into x2 minus x1. Right, delta phi is equal to how much? K into x2 minus x1. So you see that if cos phi is 1, what is the value of delta phi now, students? Can you tell me what should be the value of delta phi for this condition, for constructive interference? What should be the value of delta phi? Delta phi should be 2n pi, because cos 0 is 1, cos 2 pi is 1, cos 4 pi is 1, cos 6 pi is 1, cos 8 pi is 1. Okay, so the value of delta phi should be 2n pi. And here, what can we say that value of delta phi will be how much? Will be how much? 2n plus 1 pi. Means if n is equal, n is integer. Okay, keep in mind, n is integer. N is integer. If we'll keep n as integer here, see, if n is 0, it will be pi. Okay, if cos delta phi is minus 1, delta phi should be pi, 3 pi, 5 pi, 7 pi. So this is the value. This is the general solution for delta phi. So now we can put the value here, students. Okay, this is k, this is x2 minus x1. What is this x2 minus x1, students? We say that this, the value of this x2 minus x1, we say that it is path difference. Okay, x2 minus x1 is what? It is path difference. Right, students? Getting my point, all of you? This x2 minus x1 is what? This is path difference. Okay. So now we'll consider waves in which we'll be having same phase. Okay, same initial phase. There will not be any initial phase difference between the waves. You can see if at any time or at any x, if these two waves are traveling at the same point, there will be no phase difference. Delta phi will be 0. We'll get a constructive interference. Right. So this is what we talk about. We say that delta phi is k into x2 minus x1, which is path difference. So now, students, if we are talking about the intensity, what we say that this is the condition for constructive interference and this is the condition for destructive interference. Right. Now we are talking about delta phi. Delta phi is how much, students? Delta phi will be is equal to k into x2 minus x1. Now we will write x2 minus x1 as delta x. Delta x is the path difference. Okay, and k we will write as 2 pi by lambda. Okay, we already know about k. So 2 pi by lambda into delta x is equal to delta phi. Okay, so now we have to find the condition for constructive and destructive interference in terms of path difference. Okay, now if we have to talk about the, like, in terms of path difference for constructive and destructive interference, what can we say here, students? Just see, if we are talking about constructive interference, students, Constructive interference means what, students? Maxima, right? Maxima for intensity. Constructive interference means maxima. So now, what for constructive interference? What did we talk about delta phi? Delta phi is the phase difference, which is equal to how much, students? 2n pi for constructive interference. So now, in terms of what in terms of path difference, what we write? 2 pi by lambda into delta x is equal to 2n pi. We are talking about constructive interference here. 2 pi and 2 pi will get cancelled out. What will be the value of delta x, students? The value of delta x, the value of path difference will be how much? The value of path difference will be how much? It will be equal to n lambda. N lambda is for constructive interference, right? Delta x is equal to n lambda for what? Constructive interference, right? Now, if we have to talk about destructive interference, students, just see here. Now we will be talking about destructive interference. See, for destructive interference, what do we say? What do we say about destructive interference, students? That delta phi is equal to how much? How much will be the value of delta phi? It will be 2n plus 1 into pi. Right, 2n plus 1 into pi. This is the condition for destructive interference where intensity is minimum. So delta phi is this. Now we again we can calculate the value of delta x, the path difference for destructive interference. It will be equal to delta x into 2 pi by lambda. Right, 2 pi by lambda into delta x. Delta x is equal to 2n plus 1 into pi. Right, pi and pi will get cancelled out. What will be the value of delta x, students? Now tell me. The value of delta x will be 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2. Okay, so now if we'll generalize this thing for constructive interference, what will we say? Or for constructive, you can say it as for constructive interference or for maxima. Okay, for maxima. You can also say for maxima or for constructive interference, we say that delta x should be equal to 0, lambda, 2 lambda, 3 lambda, 4 lambda, and so on. Right. And here, destructive interference, we must say it as minima. Okay, destructive interference means minima. So for minima, what will you say the value of delta x? Delta x should be how much? Lambda by 2, 3 lambda by 2, 5 lambda by 2, right? 7 lambda by 2, and so on, right? So this is the condition of path difference. Okay, this is the condition of maxima and minima in terms of path difference. We have talked about phase difference and we have also talked about path difference now, right? Are you all getting my point, students?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So, okay, students, like, yeah. Now, you see, what I have taught today, just revise it properly, okay? And we'll talk about more things in the next class, okay? In the next class, we'll be studying about many more things now, okay?
Okay, sir.